Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Hello and welcome to Apex Racing TV and the second round of the Apex Racing League Radical Championship. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick, back alongside me is Dave Whitehouse and Bill Wright. Marco Barbonet is operating the cameras tonight. We are here at the Red Bull Ring for 2 25-minute races, the first time we've had this layout for this season. And well, it was a fantastic round last time out, Dave, because we saw a real tight battle for the win, a couple of mistakes and really tight battling all the way down the field. I really hope that this Red Bull Ring circuit is just as good.
Yeah, it should be. The Red Bull circuit has always been one that's known for its racing, and Suzuka, like you said, quite a few mistakes by drivers as they went along. I remember Ming spinning out on the top of the S's, but he took the championship lead, as you can see on your screens, with John McCutchinson in second place, and that's for the pro drivers. And then we obviously also have an AM championship as well. And if I remember rightly, the AMs were getting involved. Christian Engelhardt, who took the lead in the AMs after round one, really mixing it with the top group. So it'd be interesting to see if that happens around this circuit as well, which always brings great racing here in Austria.
Definitely. Around this track build, I mean, there's a lot of long straights, lots of hard braking zones as well. I imagine we're going to see quite a few overtakes tonight.
No question about it. I think Rent is going to be one of the places I'm going to be really interested to see what happens, because if you get the Worth curve right, and especially if you get that second part of turn 8 correct, you can really make a run down into Rent. And then of course that downhill off camber Red Bull Mobile turn number 10 always presents an opportunity down into turn 1.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, with the fact that we've got a slightly different format to you viewers of last week who saw. Last time it was a 60-minute race with a pit stop involved. This time it's a bit different. We've got 2 25-minute races, the second of which is the top 8 inverted. So the results from race 1 will be inverted by 8 positions, and that will set the grid for race 2. So if you're going to get a perfect points haul, you're going to have to make some overtakes, which is really quite unusual in this radical SR8 car. The vast majority of stuff in the official series. So I imagine that's going to be quite an interesting element tonight, Dave, because, you know, Kike Ming and John McHutchison, terrific drivers, as we saw last time out, you know, really pacey, seen this plenty of times on Apex Racing TV, but being able to make your way up through the traffic is a very different ordeal.
It will be. Compared to Suzuka, Red Bull Ring, a lot easier to overtake. You've got big braking areas, and it's a nice wide track, so the slipstream comes into play. It'd be interesting for myself, personally, to see how Brad Philpott gets on. Nürburgring 24-hour winner, so he knows exactly how to deal with the traffic, and he didn't do round 1, so he's currently in 4th place in this qualifying session, and a driver really to watch out for in this if he does any more of the championship.
Definitely, yeah, that will be quite a wild card, I imagine. It's always interesting, Phil, to see these real-life drivers race on the sim racing world, because, you know, they've got that talent, and there's such a parallel, you know, it's quite annoying if anything. You see these real-life drivers, they jump in, and within a few laps they're faster than us guys who have been racing on for years.
Yeah, they make us look a little foolish. Now, I'm going to give a shout out to Brad, because he's also a kart racing driver, and that's my background. I was in kart racing and promotion of kart racing for over 25 years, and so we'll see if the fast hands of the kart racer can put it together for the drive here in the Radical.
At the moment, it's serving him fairly well. He's up there in 6th position, 0.8 of a second off Ming and McHutchison, as we kind of expected at the top. But this is such a new circuit for the drivers. Remember, only joined the iRacing service about 3 months ago, and this is the first ever official week as well around this circuit for this car. It wasn't on last season's schedule, it is on this season's official schedule. So I expect to see maybe a few positions up and down, and of course this is only the second day as well of the official series, so really just a handful of laps I imagine some of these drivers have put in, as Philpott continues to get fast. He's down to a 25.2. Aldridge also moving up to 4th position, so looking fairly close to at the top at the moment, as Bob Humphrey, who was maybe a little bit off the pace last time at Suzuka, also moves up to the second row of the grid.
Yeah, it's Austria's going to be an interesting circuit, because you've got all these little bits of track limits to have to deal with. I think nearly every corner will have a little bit where if you run wide, you might get a slow down or an X. And just going back to Brad Philpott, actually, sorry to talk about him a lot, but the last time I saw him, I think he was upside down in a go-kart. So let's hope he's not going to recreate that today.
The Radical is, in my opinion, very much kartish in the fact that it's such a short wheelbase, lightweight car, and it has very quick steering. So I see a lot of parallels, and I think he might do well here.
Yeah, it would be awesome to see him up there. And of course, you know, if you can get in that top 8 in race 1, like I said earlier on, there's an 8-car reverse grid for race 2. You could seriously win a race there, could Philpott, and currently he's in P8. I mean, that is running it fine, and you would need to maintain that position for the entirety of race 1. So I think you'd like to get a bit further up, but that is not a bad position. You can hold on to that. Still being at the top in this qualifying session, all the drivers out on track with each other. And you can see currently 70 degrees Fahrenheit, so quite cool for the drivers. Aldridge improves, but still just a 1/10 of a second short. Can Beauchamp improve? He does, so just getting faster and faster, but still no one matching Key Gaming.
Yeah, you mentioned last time out in terms of Humphrey not having the greatest result with an 8th place in his class, but also Aldridge, who's currently running 3rd, he was 7th in the class, so both drivers looking for very good points. But again, we have Brown and Engelhardt 6th and 7th in this qualifying session, just mixing up that order as Engelhardt now goes P4 as an AM driver, certainly finding his feet in these radicals this season.
Whilst you were talking there, McCutcheon was able to move to the top of the times as well, just marginally ahead of Key Gaming. We've still got everyone on track on laps apart from Putaklis, Seabass and Tressida. I think they're the only drivers, and of course you do need to complete your lap time by the end of the 10 minutes. So this is going to be Philpott's last lap time because he's not going to have time to go for another tour. So let's see what this last one can be. Around the final couple of corners, just about keeping it within track limits. I think keeping a tyre on the red and white curb, and Philpott improves. And wow, this is turning into a super tight grid right now, Bill.
Yeah, no doubt. Looking down through, I mean, it's just, you know, hundreds and tenths separating the top drivers. Once again, you see a mix, and to me, a surprising mix of amateurs in with some of the pros. Last time I looked, the top 2 in the AM Championship were 1st and 2nd in the qualifying in their class, so yeah, it's going to be tight.
Great lap just being put in by McCutcheon there to go 3/10 clear of Ming. So these two are really swinging punches for this championship as Engelhardt goes 3rd, only 6 thousandths off Ming.
Well, that is a mighty effort there from Engelhardt. Ming is not going to be able to complete this lap time, so Ming at the head of qualifying for pretty much the entirety of it, but just when it really came down to it, he wasn't able to find the improvements of the others. And just looking down the order, I don't think there's anyone else to set a time. Seabass just crossed the line. Oh, what about Putaklis? Actually, I think he was on an out lap actually, so that's not going to be any worries as we come up to the 10 minutes and the session will progress. So Philpott, unfortunately, not being able to complete that lap time as we transition over to the race. The track states and the in-sim time transferred over, and so it'll be very similar conditions for the race. And there is John McCutcheon on pole position ahead of Key Gaming, looking to get that race win, which he just eluded him last time out at Suzuka. Engelhardt, top of the amateurs, great performance from him there in 3rd position overall. Then it's John Aldridge, Daniel Beauchamp, Arturas Kundelis, Bob Humphrey, Graham Brown, 2nd place out of the amateurs. Make Thurman, Brad Philpott in 10th, Marco Tolman, Aldous Putaklis in 12th. Then it's Myro Haraski, Zach Edel, Kev Copeland, Thomas Seabass, Wolfgang Loader, John Chester, and Moritz Roggentan rounding out these 19 cars. Could be quite a chaotic turn 1, I think, here, Bill, because it really kind of tightens up and you got that dangerous curve on the exit as well.
Oh yeah, huge curb on the outside, and those guys push in too hard, which is pretty easy to do on this car because the tires are really cold the first couple of laps. So it's going to be interesting to see if these guys can get through it cleanly. It's a very difficult first 2 corners, in fact, because once you get up to Remus up on turn 3, again, a really difficult corner to get through.
And how important do you think this race start is going to be for the race win for this one, Dave? Do you think Kike needs to take the lead right away?
I think it'd be useful for him too, but certainly not the main thing because the lights are now starting to come on.
Here we go then, the revs are rising and we are away racing for race 1 of the evening. It's a dreadful start for Engelhardt, who spins into the middle of the circuit and takes out 3 or 4 drivers. They're going to need to use their fast repair. Engelhardt's in the wall. We've got others spinning off and still more drivers getting involved. That's a dreadful wreck right at the start, and it was just taking too many revs off the line there. Also dropping down is Copeland and Humphrey. They both had to tow back to the pit, so they must have been involved. It's still McCutcheon leading the way. Ming trying to go down the inside. This would be a brave move here. There's almost contact between the two of them, but good spacing room left by the pair. They had an incredible duel at Suzuka, and that is looking like it's going to be renewed here in the Austrian hills. Aldridge up to 2nd place. Great stuff for Putaklis and Haraski, and still Ming is attacking, but McCutcheon doing everything that he needs.
Yeah, not the greatest to start. Oh,
Contact!
And there's going to be more contact again. We've got half the field. Going to need to have faster pairs halfway through this first lap.
That's unfortunate, guys. I mean, that was just a situation where it just got a little sideways, and off they go. The fireworks started.
yeah, we've just seen John Hutchinson. He just goes a little bit wide, just catches a curb and gravel, gets a bump by Ming. Ming had nowhere to go. And I'm not even sure who that was collecting him in the end.
Aldridge.
Oh, it's
John,
Aldridge.
yeah, John Aldridge, yeah.
Aldridge and Humphrey, who had been great qualifying. Engelhardt, who had a great qualifying. And McHutchinson on pole, all with issues early on as Kike Ming takes over the opening start of the race, leads lap 1. And it's just a whole train of cars behind for the rest of positions after they've all tried to avoid the action, as we have 6 cars in the pits at the end of lap 1.
Well, thank goodness for the faster pairs in this series. It definitely is going to make a big difference in this race.
Yeah, the drivers will be able to get back out and check. They still need to finish within 3 laps of the race lead in order to score points, and I think a few of these drivers, particularly McHutchinson, who will be fighting for the title no doubt this season, will be desperate to achieve that one. So it's still Ming and Kundal's now at the front. So Kundal's up 4 positions with a good chance at this race win. Beauchamp managed to somehow get through all of that, albeit I think he may have got some damage. I struggle to imagine how he managed to get past it all, but maybe he's alright. Round to the top of the amateurs, Tolman and Edel, second and third out of the amateurs. And then we've got this long train and Make Thurman with damage on the front of that car. And around a lot of circuits that wouldn't be too bad, but around this one, long straights, he is really a sitting duck and he can't even defend coming out of the S's. And that is Putaklis now up 7 places up into the top 5.
I think also you've got Brad Philpott. Spoke to about his experience in traffic before. 8th place, doesn't look like he's got any damage to the car. He's now going for 7th place, it looks like, in the background. There he goes to the inside of Haraski into turn 1. Will he make it stick? Yes, he does. Haraski backs out and up into 7th for Philpott. He'll have to fight up to turn 2, but that just shows his experience of trying to avoid accidents, getting through lap 1 and staying in the event before it's even started.
You know, guys, this is a good segue to talk about this format, which is 2 races, but it's an inverted race for race number 2. So all of these guys that have had problems here at the beginning of the first round, a race, I should say, are going to have a chance at redemption for the second round later today.
Yeah, they need to try to fight their way up into that top 8th position. Reverse grid pole, of course, and yeah, that's a highly coveted spot. You can see on the timing tower on the left just how many cars are fighting over that position. Kundal is just dropping a little bit further back here. Apologies, no, so yeah, he is dropping a bit further back. So now we've got McHutchinson, who of course was in the lead, and he is fighting with Ming. So this will be interesting because McHutchinson doesn't have to let them pass. He does come into the pit, so he's got a clean car there, McHutchinson, but decided to come into the pits anyway, and that leaves a nice fresh piece of air for Ming. But Kundal, as you can see by the timing tower, he is gaining down the straight. He's still got the toe, but he is losing time.
It's a good start by Kundal. He I don't think he did round 1. So this is the first time we've been able to see him out on track in these radicals, and he's certainly keeping up with Ming. So it would have been interesting to see what he could have done at Suzuka. Would he have been in that fight with Ming and Hutchinson? But we have to remember Ming made that mistake in round 1. If you keep pressure on him, he could do the same here at Red Bull Ring.
It's Tolman just running a little bit wide there, so I think Araski making up that move, I believe. Now Edel's trying to get past, and he's all over the place. So Zach Edel there getting a big swap on. So drops off the back of Marco Tolman. So now top 8, or 7 of the top 8 pros, with Brown the one exclusion there in 4th position, as indicated by the white stripe, and also the decals which you might see on the side of the car, the red stripe for the pro drivers and the white stripe for the amateurs. Yeah, as we cut back to this midfield battle.
Yeah, this is a battle for 9th place, second in class. I've just seen in the chat there is a bit of support from the Team Goon squad for Daniel Beauchamp, who's running in third at the moment, and strongly in third. He's a little bit in no man's land at the moment, so hopefully he'll be able to close the gap to the leaders when they start battling. But here we go, we're on board with Tolman behind Haraski, and remembering that while these are in different groups, as it's is that Furman on the outside? I think it is. No, it's Pulitz's on the outside and Furman on the inside, and the move was not made there, so positions held. But yeah, while these drivers are in different classes, they want to pass every driver possible because it is extra points in the championship.
Yeah, they are certainly fighting like it right now. Really, yeah, putting their cars on the line. I'm surprised Durham's been able to stay in that 6th position. Honestly, with the damage that he has, I thought he would be dropping back, but Philpott, so far at least, being able to make much of an impression. And we've now got the renewing of this battle. Really, these two are absolutely inseparable. Haraski and Tolman on that last lap. Just less than less than 1/10 of a second, the gap between the two of them, and Tolman came very good speed through the final corner. He could go for a move heading into this next one as he looks to the inside. Going to be very tight into that one, but well, his rival left in space at least. But that's a poor exit right there, Bill.
Yeah, no doubt. He lined that up really nicely, but I think he was not certain that the other driver was going to give him space, and ended up having a bad exit, so not working out well for them there.
You're right about Haraski and Tolman not being able to leave each other alone. They actually finished next to each other in the first round, so this is a renewal of battle, just slightly further up the field. They were in the early teens last time, whereas now they're fighting over 8th place.
Yeah, and that's I believe that's for 2nd and 3rd in AM. Is that right? No, Haraski is a pro. Sorry.
It's all extra points though, and Tolman will want to get past Haraski. It will improve his result overall, and Tolman sitting 6th in the AM class on 62 points. So every little point counts. If he moved up that one position, he could gain 2, 3, or even 4 points.
Yeah, and of course he would get reverse good pole as well. That 8th place overall, so yeah, super important battle. Here is John Chester, who was having an excellent race. Was actually 3rd position, I believe, out of the amateur drivers, or maybe 4th position, apologies. I think he was behind Tolman and Edel. But that self-mistake again, those curves which we highlighted just before the race. Catching another driver out, they are really littered around this entire track. But in terms of the battle for the lead, fast start of the race there for Daniel Beauchamp, and he has been very rapid really since the start of the race. We know, well, all these top 3 from the official series usually mean with the slight advantage over Kundelis and Beauchamp, but Beauchamp absolutely firing on all cylinders. He's consistently outlapping the leaders, and that gap down to about 1.8 seconds now between 1st and 3rd.
Yeah, but Beauchamp's really not stopped closing that gap since the start. I think he was about 3 seconds behind at one point, so he's now in the tow of Kundelis, who has dropped slightly back from Ming, but close enough to getting some kind of advantage from these radical cars. As we that was Furman right up the rear of Puticus, and a little bit of damage done there, but it'll be damage to both cars, and it's just let Brown, who was getting under heavy pressure from these guys, to just gain that little bit of gap and brought Philpott into play. And I wouldn't be surprised if Philpott has a go at these two very early on.
Yeah, he could perhaps get past the pair of them here coming out of turn 1 if they get a poor exit. Drives it in very deep there, Philpott, but that was too much. He could see the opportunity arising, but maybe just snatching the brake right there, and drops about a second behind. Down the straights, Thurman's got absolutely nothing. He's not gaining in the draft. This is a big setup series, remember, and so if you're not gaining down the straights with the draft, then that's all down to the damage that you got. Meanwhile, Haraski and Tolman, I think that's Haraski defending there from Tolman for all that he's worth, and he keeps that 8th position, but Tolman isn't giving up.
Yeah, it's a great battle between these two. As you mentioned before, 4 reverse grid pole, and it is letting Edel just close in a bit. And we keep calling them pro and am drivers, but as you can see, there isn't a huge amount of difference. As we see, Kundalis has taken the lead, has he? No, he's under pressure from Beauchamp, and Beauchamp, who set fastest lap of race the last 2 laps going, and he's right up behind Kundalis. Now, to ask your opinion on this, Bill, do you think he's got to sit there and wait a little bit and bide his time, or do you catch a guy and you go for it?
My personal opinion, I go for it. I mean, we're getting along in the race a bit here, and you don't ever know, what can happen. If you're behind somebody, they might make a mistake and collect you. So I would prefer to lead personally.
As we see, we now drift back to Puticlus, who's got this. Berman has the same issue. He's still tucked behind this Radical, almost able to do a technical drawing of the rear of it so far with 12 minutes gone. So we're coming up to the half distance stage of this first race, remember. So it's 2 results put together. We'll score the championship points for today. And it's going to be interesting to see if these guys continue battling really hard and bring the pack into play, because behind 8th place we have a row of about 17 amateurs, and I just wonder what it would be like to have maybe an all amateur front row for the next race, how they will play it, because yes, they want the top scores, but you don't want to get started in a fight with people like Ming and that and costing yourself championship points by the end of that second race.
Yeah, one point we might want to make for the viewers that are new to the series is, how do they determine amateur versus pro status?
It's a bit of a mixture of the iRatings of the drivers. So when everyone signs up, the organisers will see their iRating, judge it a bit on that, and also past experiences as well. And of course, in this series, we've broadcasted so many races in the Radicals over the past 9 months in the official series. Got plenty of data on the performance of the drivers, and yeah, it's a tricky one, because there's a couple of pros who very closely matched to the amateurs, and a couple of amateurs, as you can see, of course, Brown up there really punching above his weight up there in 4th position. So yeah, it's yeah, once you're in that amateur category, desperately want to take the title if you can, as this is kind of annoying again. So Thurman not with the pace to overtake Puticlus down the straights, it seems, but they are catching back up to Brown on that last lap. They gained by a huge 0.6 of a second, so really half that gap last time round, as we're just seeing a replay of what happened to John Chester, who's already had a spin at turn 2, remember, and now he's had a spin at turn 1. So John really struggling with that car over the curbs.
Yes, we seem to also have Zach Eady, who was in third. I think he was running in 10th place overall. He is in the pit lane now, so that is dreadful for his amateur championship challenge. But he's dropped down to 18th overall and into the lap runners, which start with Engelhardt in 15th. Humphrey, McCutchinson, now Edel, and Aldridge, who's 2 laps down in this race. But I think they're all still running to try and score the points. But Beauchamp here really needs to start getting past Kundalis because they are being dropped by Ming, and if that gap gets too big, as we saw in round 1, Ming will run away with it.
Yeah, oh, there's nearly contact there. It seems like at least those last couple of corners that we were riding on board with Beauchamp, he's kind of driving the car in a bit deeper, and then trying to just get stopped mid-corner, so kind of a lot of speed in and getting some good exits, but maybe Beauchamp with a little bit more mid-corner speed. But yeah, Ming is escaping right now, and this should be a good one for him. Humphrey just going past Engelhardt as well, but Kundalis is under huge pressure, and this could be the opportunity for Beauchamp. He has a look, but he just doesn't seem to have this one. I mean, what's Kundalis what's Beauchamp missing right now, Bill? Because he can't quite get past. So this might be his opportunity.
Yeah, I think it was just confidence down into the corner. He's not real sure if the driver's going to give him space, because you have to get space down there to get that pass done. So it concerned the driver ahead of him just enough that he lost his concentration, and then he was able to pull by off the next corner. So it worked out for him overall.
Gonzalez could come back here though, but plenty of respect. They're not going to go for the dive, and maybe thinking that well, they have an outside chance of catching up to Ming, because honestly so far this race it seems like Beauchamp has been faster than Ming, but those 4 or 5 laps just sat behind Gonzalez, just holding him up slightly, and it's going to be very tricky now to catch up to the race leader by the end of the event.
Yes, we're now looking at the biggest mover of the event so far. It's Puticlus, who takes a dive at Brown. Was a little bit of contact there. He's through past Graham Brown. Furman now having a go. So that's Puticlus up 8 positions so far in this race. And Graham Brown just letting Mallet Furman go. And now he'll have Brad Philpott right behind him. Will Brad go to the inside? Yes, he does, but keeps it clean. And will have to try and find his way past Graham Brown, maybe on the next lap, but he has to do it quick to stop Puticlus and Furman just running away.
Yeah, that inside move down there doesn't usually work out through the Worth curve, because the other driver can immediately get a run through turn 8 and then repass down into Rent. So I haven't found Worth the curve, the number 7 turn, to be a place that you can really pull a pass off and hold on to it.
We now move on to 2 groups of 2 for this battle for 4th place. Philpott now gets a run towards turn 2 and 3, but so does Furman on Puticlus. So let's see with the 2 battles if anybody can do anything. Furman pulls back in, but Philpott's to the inside, and he's past the amateur driver Graham Brown, who's still looking good for this amateur win. He has a 3-second lead over Tolman in the orange machine in the background, and 3rd place Sibas in the green machine just behind that. So Graham Brown just needs to find his rhythm again. He's lost it over last lap or and a half, with the overtakes being passed 3 times, but that has now released Brad Philpott into 6th place, and maybe Graham Brown's looking at a reverse grid front row now, so it's not all bad for him.
Yeah, that is that's a consolation for the drivers. That reverse grid, still Haraski obtaining it, and still we have this one where Thurman seems to be faster in all the corners, at least by my eyes, but he hasn't got the pace down the straights, and this is almost a carbon copy of what we've seen for the past 3 or 4 laps.
Yeah, back up front we have Beauchamp. He has closed by a 10th to Kike Ming on that last lap, so it's not quite enough. He's 2 seconds back, but he just needs to push that a little bit harder and put Ming under pressure.
I'll be interested to see how Philpott does, because I have to wonder how much practice he put in before this event. Or is he using the qualifying in this first race as a lot of practice? Because he's currently going to have a pretty decent start for the 2nd race, and we might see him become a factor before that's all over in that 2nd round, depending on how much practice he put in. If he's using this for practice, I think we're going to see him get quicker and quicker.
Knowing Brad personally, with his sim setup that he has at home, he will have put a little bit of practice into this at least. I wouldn't say there's been loads, because he's quite a busy man at times, but I think he will have put at least a little bit of practice in, because he's a man who, if he's going to enter something, he'll enter it properly and try and win it. So it's so he's running well in 6th place, but I think a little bit more practice, he might have been further up. But yeah, like you say, using qualifying, using the first race to get into rhythm, and then if he's near the front of the 2nd race, certainly he could maybe pull off a shot victory here.
I'm sure he's going to be driving the widest radical SR8s in Europe if needs be. When he gets that race 2. Of course, he does need to make a couple of moves as well. He will have to get past Brown and Haraski, but he will surely not be an easy customer to deal with, as I'm almost feeling about Thurman's engine overheating. Honestly, I know that's not really much simulated in iRacing, but he's running so close. car can't get any
Ooh, big mistake there.
air, but now he has made that mistake, not getting the power down, lots of wheel spin, and he could be very vulnerable here. Thurman with the outside line, breaking a bit deeper. Now, will he leave a car's width there? Thurman, apologies, Putin close in the end. He didn't really need to because Thurman backed out of it. And here comes Philpott, been sitting about a second behind these guys for a few laps, but just that couple of corners of racing means that he's right back into play.
Yeah, the Thurman there has a little damage on the car, especially the wing is quite skewed. That's definitely got to hurt him, not only in the corners but down the straight. So we may see Philpott go by here.
Yeah, we certainly can't even describe when that damage may have been. It could have been the opening lap because it was absolute chaos. And hopefully we won't see that in race 2. But back at the front, Ming is just controlling that gap now. Back to Beauchamp, so with about 4 minutes to go, I can't see that changing unless Ming makes a mistake. Kundalis is another 1.1 seconds back, but his third place is pretty secure as he has a 12-second lead over this battle for fourth place, which is Puticus. Furman and Philpott, nobody looking for a move there, and all of them just getting ready because they know if they make one mistake as Furman gets sideways out of turn 2.
Yeah, there it was. Yeah.
With these three, they won't want to take a dive and just put themselves out of position. You do that on the last lap. You go for it on the last lap. At this stage, just try and psych each other out, wait for a mistake, unless you have a clear-cut overtaking opportunity.
I'm curious to see on this lap how Philpott does coming onto the finishing straight, because he's been consistently losing position as he goes down the inside, so I'll let you guys get. Oh, and he almost spins the car.
Yeah, that was just about got underneath, and I'm amazed that he didn't hit Thurman there because he really committed to it. Thurman did really well just to leave a little bit of gap on the inside of the corner, and Philpott was all over the place, and maybe that's his chances of a top 5 position probably gone. And well, this was how it all happened. And just whilst we're kind of getting to that corner, I will just give a quick shout out to Virtual Racing School, one of our sponsors for this series. Virtual Racing School with over 50 data packs for road and over racing, setups, track guides, data analysis software, and one-on-one coaching. So if you want to improve your sim racing performance, definitely check out virtualracingschool.com. There's a link to them in the description below. And there was Philpott. He was understeering, and then a big bit of oversteer. And well, all things considered, that ended very well.
Yeah, don't blame him going for that move. It was a mistake by Furman in front, and he had a little bit of a gap, but Furman was just, he sweep into that corner from quite a wide angle, so it always looks deceptive whether that gap is there for you to make the move or not. As we now look at Kike Ming, who is pulling away at the front. He's lapped up to 12th place now. Probably won't catch Rogatine in 12th, but it is an impressive drive by Ming, like we saw in Suzuka, and in this race 1 he moves on to the final lap with a 1.4 second lead, so it's not quite over yet. Beauchamp can close in, but I think that traffic just behind Ming, or is that, no, that's actually Beauchamp behind, so let's see whether he can close in.
Always love that graphic on the bottom right, showing you the gap over time, and you can see that time where it was maintaining. I think that was mainly when, well, to be fair, I think it was actually just soon before that lap 12 when Beauchamp was able to get past Kundalis. But I think this race has just underlined how important qualifying is, Phil, because, you know, it wasn't a great qualifying for Beauchamp, down in 5th position. I think he's had the pace on Ming, honestly, but Ming getting that front row starts has seemingly made a difference.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the carnage played a big part in that. He obviously got through that cleanly and helped himself get closer to Ming than he could have been without having a lot of competition between himself and Ming. But for sure, he's showing the pace, and it'll be interesting to see if he can come through with Ming as they make their way up from further back in the field.
So here he comes then, Kiko Ming round the final corner, and he's going to make it 2 wins out of 2. It's a race 1 victory here for him at the Red Bull Ring. Beauchamp and Kunduz round out a very competitive podium. Putaklis is going to hold on against them, and what a classic duel these two had. Philpott will be racing in the background, but what about Graham Brown finishing in 7th position overall? He's going to be top of the amateurs as well, so congratulations to Graham Brown there for Team GB, and he takes a very well-deserved spot there, and of course was running up in the top 4 for much of the race. Mario Hraski finishing in 8th position, and crucially taking that reverse grid pole for race 2, which of course will be coming up very soon. We'll just also take this opportunity to say that this is of course an Apex Racing League series. Of course, if you want to race in this series, or if you want to race in any of the other Apex Racing League series, which include our Formula V Championship, our Mazda Cup Championship, GT3s, touring cars, Formula 3 cars, Formula Renault 2.0, GTE cars. We've got an awesome Gauntlet series starting up. We've got Porsche Cups. Literally, so many cars now covered by Apex Racing League. So go over to apexracingleague.com and see what series that you want to sign up to in the near future. Also going to show you now a bit of a trailer for one of the sponsors for this series, SDK Gaming, who provide our amazing overlay. So we will show you a trailer about the services that they provide just now, before we'll be back with you in just a moment on Apex Racing TV. Welcome back to the Apex Racing League Radical Championship and Apex Racing TV. We have just had a very entertaining race 1, which we can now show you the results for. So Kiko Ming won out. Darren Beauchamp was honestly the fastest driver. I think probably set the fastest lap of anyone for probably 80% of the laps, but had some work to do, was 3 seconds behind to overtake Arturas Cundelas as well, but really look out for him to maybe take the race to victory. There was Cundelas in a strong 3rd place. Aldous Putzcliffe beat Make Thurman. Thurman looked very quick concerning his damage actually in race 1. There was Brad Philpott in his debut. Graham Brown was top of the amateurs. There was Mario Haraski who takes reverse grid pole. Marco Tolman was in 9th place. Then it was Thomas Siebes, Wolfgang Loader, Moritz Jorgensen did well to move up from the back of the grid to 12th, and then John Chester had a few spins, and I think all the drivers who took fast repairs were Zach Edel, Christian Engelhardt, John McHutchinson, Kev Copeland, and John Aldridge, along with Bob Humphrey actually, who unfortunately did not get back out on circuit, so those top 18 will all score points. Humphrey just misses out, unfortunately. So this is going to be really fun now, I think, Dave, because like I said earlier on, these guys are so used to just the 25-minute linear races, no reverse grids, nothing like that. This is a real, curveball for the drivers, and a race format that they're really not familiar with having to overtake, despite being the fastest driver.
Yeah, it can be a bit of a strange feeling for some of the drivers, but what will be more interesting, it's after the chaos in race 1 on the opening few corners, people like Ming and Beauchamp are now in the firing line. They're in that bubble around mid-grid where it could all kick off and you may have nowhere to go, and then they may be the people who were in the position of McHutchinson in race 1, where they're playing catch up for the rest of the race.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna jump in and then suggest that I think there's maybe somebody who's uniquely skilled for this. He has a karting background. He has endurance racing background, multi-class. Somebody who's aware of his surroundings, and I think might be in the perfect spot to take advantage of the carnage that we might see at the beginning of this race due to the reverse grid. Anybody got a guess?
Well, I think he's starting up there in 3rd position, so I think that's a very good call for him maybe to take the race win. But there is the grid: Haraski, Brown, Philpott and Thurman. Top 8 reversed, of course, say Ming and Beauchamp, who were top 2 in race 1, start in 8th and 7th positions respectively for this race 2 of the evening. By the way, just a word as well, because we were watching a trailer for SDK Gaming earlier on. Do make sure to check out sdk-gaming.co.uk in order to get this lovely overlay that you see up on screen. Also live timing, heads-up display for whilst you're racing. It's absolutely awesome stuff. There's a link in the description below. But here we go then, the lights are coming off race 2 of the evening. Mario Haraski from pole position, and we're aware it's an awesome start for the Jazz on the second row of the grid. It's 4 wide for a moment, but Philpott storms into lead, but it's Thurman with the inside line heading into Thomas, 4 wide further back as well, but Thurman spins round at the first opportunity. Philpott has to take evasive action, and it's Brown who ends up at the front heading into turn 2, but it's all changed straight away. Good start for Beauchamp, great start for Putzcliffe. He's up 3 places. Look at Beauchamp down the inside of everyone at the moment as Brown doesn't defend. Putzcliffe with the opportunity to head down the inside here. Beauchamp looking racy as well right there, but it's Putzcliffe who currently has the lead at the moment, does the lap at the end. Tolman is round in the background, makes contact with Edel, I believe there, who spins back across the circuit as well. Loader having problems at his home race, but it's Putzcliffe who leads ahead of Brown. Philpott still trying to defend from Beauchamp at the moment, and Cundelas and Ming still alongside in 5th and 6th. Crazy start, guys.
Yeah, that was almost a perfect start for Philpott. He got off the line really well on the grippy side of the grid and gave plenty of room to Thurman just in case something like that happened, but still had to take avoiding action when Thurman rolled back off the racing line, which, to be honest, is probably the best thing he could have done. He might have took the whole pack with him, but that sort of little bit of chaos has helped Beauchamp up into 4th place already, Ming up into 5th, Cundelas up into 6th. And Philpott has just took 2nd place as Graham Brown has made a mistake there and dropped further back. So that puts Beauchamp already onto the podium. And this is rapid movement by Beauchamp and Ming. And Cundelas, who's now fighting Ming side by side through turn 1. And Ming's round. Ming is half spun into the pit lane. And it looks like he's got going again just behind Haraski. But that was kind of similar to the mistake we saw from him at Suzuka, where he just got on the grass there and just half spun it, but he's very good at controlling it and making sure it doesn't go fully round.
Beauchamp's in a good place here, man. I think he's going to fight really hard to get this race win, because going to help him in such a big way in the points, and he definitely showed us he had the speed in the first race, so keep an eye on this guy.
Yeah, I mean, now that Ming's out of it, I think he was his main contender. Still got Kundelis, of course. And I mean, Putaklis seems to be struggling a little bit, because he managed to build up about an 0.8 of a second lead on lap 1. The gap's gone though now. Philpott all over the back of him, and Beauchamp looks a lot faster. You can also see the damage on the back of Philpott's car. I can only imagine that came from a curb strike, honestly, because I don't think he's been hit so far by another competitor. So that will probably not be helping him.
Did he slightly make contact with Thurman in that position when Thurman spun?
You might be right, actually. You could well be right on
That's quite a bit of damage on the back of that car, actually. Here we go. Oh. Man, Philpott really deep on the brakes there to hang on to that spot.
We have big news in the championship points. John McHutchinson is back in the pits. He's already 2 laps down in this race, and that is terrible for the Scot, who qualified right up the front on pole position for the first race. Had the issue on lap 1 to try and fight his way through, finishing quite far down, and now he's back in the pits again. Will we see the Scot back out? I'm not sure after today. He might just cut his losses and run, I think.
Now, if I'm reading this screen right, a 126.1 for Philpott on the last lap and a 26.6 for Putaklis, so that's fairly straightforward if you ask me, that we're going to see something happen here.
Putaklis has got, dare I say, a bad line. The left-hander there. He's done that for a couple of laps in a row, where he almost turns it into a 90-degree corner. He goes very wide, and I can't see what he's doing there. You want to get like a good exit, you know? But the straight after that isn't very long, and he's losing like 2 car lengths on the entry. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there with the Latvian, and of course with the judge behind him. Maybe he's learning that that's probably not the way to go. But apart from that, he looks all right. But that one corner there, he is losing heaps of time. He does set the fast lap of the race, but you think of the amount of battling that the guys behind were doing at the start of the last tour, and that kind of explains why Ming as well, catching up to these guys by 3/4 of a second a lap, and he's only 3.5 seconds off the lead as well. So they really need to get past Philpott and Beauchamp if they're going to keep Ming behind. As he goes for the lead here, does Philpott. He's down the inside. Is there contact? There is contact between the two of them. Now goes off the circuit, does Putaklis. He loses the race lead, he drops to 4th, and now Beauchamp sees this as his opportunity. Philpott now with battle scars from this racing so far. He's trying to defend from Beauchamp, who's darting left and right, but Philpott does everything he needs, and he keeps the race lead.
I don't think there's a huge amount could have been done there, because the car's automatically understeer because of the banking on that corner. And it was only a light touch, but it was just at the wrong point to put Putaklis slightly wide, as Kundelis goes up the inside of Beauchamp. So he has said, you're not going to have all the action here today. Confirmation we do have that McHutchinson is out the race, as second in the championship. Is going to have a poor score from this race, and he's going to fall down the championship order after today. So he will be hoping Kike Bing can't come through from that 6th place and score huge points here today, even though he's got the win from race 1, as we see Beauchamp now looking at Kundelis. And this is this battle will just let Philpott just pull away a little bit, as we have another fastest lap of race by Ming, a 24.6 that is by Ming, and he is absolutely flying.
Again, I'm going to point out on our leader, Philpott, that he's really struggling off that final corner down in turn 10. Consistently, every lap I've seen him either lose time there, or the gap behind him close up off of that corner. So that could play key here in the end, because these other guys, if they can use that prime opportunity to pass down in turn 1, it could make the difference in the race.
Yeah,
very true. So go on, Sam.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's a good spot, but he's also losing time as well down the straight, because he's got damage on the back of that car. Because I think you're right, earlier on spotting that contact that he had with Mick Thurman, who by the way is down in 8th position after spinning at turn 1, and then of course the contact as well onto the back of Putaklis a lap and a half ago, and that car's not looking handy down the straight. I think it's just a matter of time now for Kundalis to make his way past. Let's see if he can get the exit of the final corner better this time. It's all right. I think he's going to be safe, but it's not the gap that he wants going into turn 1 because he's going to be so close heading into turn 2.
Yeah, Philpott knows how to when to defend and how to defend though, and as you saw there, Kundalis was really close, but Philpott just knew he didn't have to go to the inside on that time. This time he will probably go inside of turn 2. Yes, he does. He has left a bit of a gap and Kundalis has a look, but that will just close and there will be an accident. He's gone a little deep though. He will get the run out, but Kundalis has part of an overlap on the car and better straight line speed, and he will take the position down into turn 4. If he does not outbrake himself, will Beauchamp try and follow? And Philpott tries to hang out around the outside, doesn't quite work, keeps off the gravel, but that's allowed Beauchamp to go to the inside. To go side by side down the hill, and Philpott's turned Beauchamp round. I think by the looks of that, Beauchamp sort of turned in expecting Philpott not to be there, but he still had a slight nose alongside. As we now look at it again on the replay, they're side by side here, but yeah, Brad still had a nose alongside, and then the understeer generated just pulled him into Beauchamp, and that has ruined Beauchamp's race, and he's really going to have to fly as Ming now starts to have a go at Philpott.
Yes, so Ming up to 3rd position, only 1.4 seconds behind. Ming, I think, had a little bit of contact onto the back of Philpott at that instant, but seemingly the front of that car is all right, while Philpott, I think, is at every corner now with contact. So, man, that is looking like a very discarded Radical SR8 machine now. Yeah, what did you think about that incident, Bill? Do you think maybe a little bit more space could have been given by either driver?
I think one driver maybe had a little more weight in that issue, and but it was hard racing into a corner where the cars here are very, very loose because you're making a transition. I've raced the track a few times, and that spot where they're making that transition, the cars really get loose. Or I should say they really wave around a lot. The car's just barely on the edge, and so maybe a racing incident, maybe somebody was a little too aggressive. It's kind of hard to call that one. I'd have to see another angle.
I'm sure the stewards will be having a look at it post-race. Of course, these drivers can protest any incident that happens during the race, and then the steward will have a look at it after the meeting in a couple of days' time, with any lap 1 incidents as well, just to make sure everything is covered. As Beauchamp up to 6th position, so at least he's got a clean car, which is always the case when you have an incident in these Radical SR8 machines. They are so brittle, as Ming is going to be passing Putaklis here. So Kundal is leading the way by 1.3 seconds. Putaklis was the big gainer, honestly, of anyone with that incident, because he was just taking a normal racing line, gained 2 positions and escaped without any damage. Ming was held up a little bit, but he is past now the Spaniard who won race the endurance race at Suzuka, won race 1 here as well, and he's up to 2nd in race 2.
And we just saw before we clipped to this, Engelhardt up to 10th place past Rogatine, and Engelhardt, who we saw absolutely flying at Suzuka, having a bit of a tough time of it here, but he's now into 3rd place in class and closing in on Kev Copeland for that 2nd place. Copeland being the biggest mover so far with 8 places, up to 9th place now, and driving really well back there, only 13 seconds off the lead. So, but the top 5 are covered by 2.5 seconds. You can see them all in the screen there, and it's Kundalis leading, but Ming is closing that gap down with every braking area and every corner, and it won't be long until he's behind that Radical of Kundalis and looking to overtake as soon as he gets there.
Well, he's caught up by a huge margin on that last lap, 0.9 of a second, and I was thinking maybe Ming was holding back a bit of pace in race 1. It's really seemed like Beauchamp had the pace over him, but it's race 2, the shackles are off, and he is giving it absolutely everything. Before I lose an opportunity to, because I think this is about to get very exciting, I will just say a quick shout out to Apex Racing Academy, another sponsor for this series. Thanks to them actually for providing some awesome prizes, them and SDK Gaming offering about $1,000 worth of prizes, subscriptions to their services for the top pro, pro and drivers, along with the top teams as well in this series. Apex Racing Academy with 29 data packs, the setups, track guides, weekly group coaching sessions, and it's also integrated with Virtual Racing School as well, which is awesome. Their setup sync technology is super easy to use. It takes a lot of the haggle out of getting setups for iRacing. So do check out apexracingac.com to get more details. As Ming is closing in. Where do you think his best chance at this overtake is going to be here, Bill?
Oh, there's so many places on this track to get it done. I mean, he's not going to get it done in 1, I don't think. But if he gets a good drive through the first corner, we could see something happen down in 3 in Remus. It's if you get a good run off of there, this is a very good overtake opportunity because it's such a long drive down to the next turn 3.
Yeah, Ming right up behind the rear. He pulls out into turn 2 and makes a move on Kundalis. Kundalis could have defended a little harder there, but I suppose everybody's seen Ming's pace from the opening 2 rounds and thinking, is it worth me fighting him, or shall I stick with second place? As Kundalis now fighting back, but he will sit in the slipstream, and they'll be wary of Puticless and Philpott and Brown just not too far behind, and they won't want to get too much into a battle. Further back, Daniel Beauchamp is still on the recovery trail, and he has just closed the gap by almost a second to Brown, as we see Bob Humphrey here on a replay pulling to the side of a track, and he could be our 4th retirement of the day. We've had McHutchinson, Aldridge, Tresida and Humphrey now all looking like they're out of the race, leaving 15 radicals on this grid. As we see Zach Edel spin around, just misses the barrier that was put in there very recently for MotoGP after a horrific accident in MotoGP when the bike started using this circuit. But Ming, fastest lap of the race, pulls the gap out to 0.4 of a second. The Kundalis has still got that toe, and the gap is coming down rapidly on this straight. It won't be enough for an overtake into here, but Kundalis can set him up and just try and be towed along by Ming here. He knows he's got the pace to try and challenge him. He just needs to keep with him while Ming is in this superior form to what seems to be most of the field.
Yeah, still 10 minutes to go in this race, which is that's a long period of time to be able to consistently put down laps. So this thing is far from over.
And Copeland, a bit under the radar, up to 10th position overall. I think he's just overtaken Moritz Krogenten. Actually, apologies, no, that was a rubbish first sector for Copeland, so he's just made a mistake actually. So he was he ahead of Engelhardt previously?
Yes,
I think
he was
on the tail. Oh, yeah, so he was ahead of Engelhardt. But yeah, with that mistake, I think heading through turn 1 now drops down to 10th position overall, and only marginally on the amateur podium at the moment. Hraski versus Thurman. This is not the battle that we saw earlier on, because it was Thurman versus Puticless for 4th place, and I really fancied Thurman's chance at winning this race because he looks so quick, despite the fact they had no straight line speed in race 1. I was thinking, well, if he hasn't got the drag of a parachute in race 2, then what wonders could he achieve? But hasn't really turned out the way, because he got into the lead from 4th position on the grid, but spun immediately at turn 1, and since then he has just been on the comeback trail. However, Hraski would be a good driver to overtake, and that's what he's trying to do. But once again, he's got that parachute on the car, dreadful drag with all that damage, but he is confident on the brakes and some, and he does move up to 7th position overall.
Yeah, it's a good drive so far by Thurman. He's lost a few positions. It seems like with Hraski, he's constantly having to defend over these 2 races. but he's coming out with some good results by the end of this. He was around about, I think he was 8th in race 1, 8th in race 2 currently, and he had the reverse grid pole. So he's coming out of this event with some good points by the end of this, which is possibly his first aim after what he probably feels was a poor opening round, finishing behind a number of amateur drivers.
Beauchamp really on the charge here, as he was the fastest car on the track that last lap, and he's putting in purple sectors pretty regularly, so he's continuing to make his way back up to the front.
A bit confusing on the timing tower there. You see Beauchamp. Oh, no. Contact that. I think he's going to let Brown past here. Yeah, try not to gain an advantage. But you may have seen there, Beauchamp actually with a quicker lap there than Ming, and yet it didn't highlight purple. That's just because of the off-track. There's been an off-track detected by our live timing software, and so that's not regarded as a fastest lap anymore, whereas Ming's was a fastest lap. So that's just the logic behind that one. Beauchamp this time passed Brown, and I think Beauchamp will be hoping that due to his generosity, due to him letting back the position, Brown will not protest that one, but well, we'll see what Graham thinks. Beauchamp now to 5th position, and he's certainly got Philpott who he could overtake by the end. Any further than that, I think it's going to be very tricky.
Yeah, I think he will want to pass Philpott after that instant earlier in the race. Kiki Ming very close to the gravel there, coming through the 2 left-handers and still pushing half. Kundalis only 0.8 of a second behind and really pushing the Spaniard hard. Currently, the fastest lap of the race does go to Kike Ming on the last time by with 24.5, but the gap it's just tenths of a second between these two, but they are pulling away from Kundalis at a rate of knots and leaving the rest of the field behind. But Kundalis still close enough. If Ming makes another mistake, he will be in there, and we saw him close to the gravel, and I don't think he wants to be getting that close to it with 6 minutes to go.
I'm waiting to see how hard Philpott defends if and when he gets caught by Beauchamp. That, to me, that's going to be an interesting thing to watch, to see how he handles it.
Well, he was quite aggressive with his defence early on, Philpott. I'm not sure if he pushed it over the limit, but of course he did have that contact, of course, with Beauchamp earlier on. Right. So I wonder if there's a bit of past between these two. Maybe that will make a slight impact. That was, for at the time, P2, but you've got to think with the pace that Beauchamp has shown tonight, arguably the quickest driver out there. Of course, we're not entirely sure how quick Ming has been, because maybe he hasn't had to use all of his pace, being in the lead for most of tonight. But Beauchamp's certainly been close to him, if not a match. And yeah, if he had been able to make that move, maybe we would be seeing him up at the front right now. Instead, he's just trying to do the recovery here, and he has got Philpott to overtake for 4th position. Philpott struggling down the straights. Beauchamp, I think, just waiting here for the exit of turn 1 and just making absolutely sure of this move.
Looking at the rear of Philpott's car, I think he's going to have to borrow a sledgehammer by the end of it. Look at the bends in the back of that, as Beauchamp, and right up his rear, goes to the inside. Philpott doesn't defend, but brakes so much later. Will he get a run out? No. Philpott runs wide and Beauchamp is through. This will go down to turn 4, but at the moment, with the damage on Philpott's car, I don't think he'll have a great straight line speed as they come down to turn 4. He's still there. He brakes later, trying to hang it round the outside, and it looks like Beauchamp might have got the run. No, Philpott is still there as they come through side by side, 3 corners now, and Philpott takes a position back, runs wide. Beauchamp goes back underneath. Oh. Careful not to make any contact, and Philpott keeps the position. What a battle these two are having over this 4th place.
Yeah, credit to Beauchamp for that, because he really got back to the exact same position where Philpott had a little contact with him and drove very clean, gave him lots of room. Same place here.
Oh, he's going to be able to pull that one off. What a move!
Yeah, beautiful.
Beauchamp. But around the outside of both turn 9 and 10, left a little bit of space, was using all of the circuit and a little bit more, but fantastic awareness there.
Yeah, really nice move there. I was glad to see that that was some really strong, hard racing by both of them, and a really superb outside move down to the finishing straight. Oh, and a big mistake from Haraski there. I believe that's Haraski, was it?
Yes, it
Yeah,
was
it was.
Haraski getting repassed finally by Engelhardt, who's had a storming race through the field up until 8th place. He's not going to be able to catch Brown for winning the class, but a recovery drive of sorts for the German after winning round 1, and Brown was second in round 1. So the two looking like they're forming as good a championship fight as Ming and McHutchinson.
Gap coming down a bit. It's under half a second. Is this Kundaliz's plan for the whole time? Has this whole season, last time out at Suzuka, race 1, and then the first 22 minutes and 50 seconds of this race 2, all been leading up to this ambush right at the end, because he is catching 6/100ths of a second faster than last time around. We know that overtaking is possible around this circuit. It's never easy in this Radical SR8 since they changed the draft model a couple, 3 months ago at the start of the last season. Overtaking around here totally different. I mean, if this was the old draft model, we'd see pack racing of 10 cars probably altogether. Instead, it's a lot weaker now, and you do get a decent amount of turbulent air, so it won't be easy for Kundaliz, but he is showing real positive signs, faster than his rival for the past 3 laps, and he's just going to have one more lap to go after this.
Yeah, it's a close battle between these, just 0.6 of a second. Ming looked like he was pulling away a little bit, but Kundaliz closing that gap back down and putting Ming under pressure. Last time we saw Ming under pressure, slid it out and dropped to 6th. So let's just see whether he can hold on to the pressure as they go round onto the final lap. Going back to Kundaliz's plan, I doubt missing round 1 was part of his plan and letting Ming have such a start in the championship, but it certainly looks like Ming is going to have a lot of competitors this year. McHutchinson we saw on pole as both drivers run the track limits wide in that corner as they go through for the white flag. McHutchinson, Kundaliz, Beauchamp all looking quick enough to take this championship fight to Ming as they go up into turn 1. Kundaliz just dropped back a little bit on that last lap. Butticliss with a PB lap, but that's still only a 25-1, so he's being closed down by Beauchamp, but I think it will be a little too late. Well, Graham Brown just consolidates his top place in the amateur category.
That was a good turn there for Kundaliz, a bit deeper on the brakes. In fact, he was better in every category there. Deeper on the brakes, a bit more corner speed, and then also a better exit close-ins in by about 0.2 of a second. But this is where the overtaking opportunities start to run out. You really need to be alongside it if you're going to go for a move. Certainly any heavy braking areas where you can go for a dive are running out for Arturas Kundaliz, who I think will be quite pleased with his evening of racing. A 3rd position in race 1 and a 2nd position perhaps coming his way in race 2. But this is some run of form for Kike Gaming, who has had to fight so hard for every race so far this season. Heck, he had a spin last time at Suzuki. He's had a spin this time at the Red Bull Ring, but nothing is stopping him right now. The Spaniard comes around the final corner and he takes a clean sweep of race wins so far this season. Kike Gaming wins here at Red Bull Ring and gets a near perfect score. Kundaliz with a very good 2nd position will be the 2nd highest scorer across the evening. Butticliss with a good pace to finish in 3rd place. Beauchamp will be disappointed with 4th. Brown will finish top of the amateurs again, so great evening for Graham Brown, and I imagine he'll be very close to Christian Engelhardt in the amateur championship after this round. Copeland rounds out the podium there in 10th position. Overall, really good racing there, but I mean, some fantastic overtakes, and Ming just with that racecraft, I think, because remember, he was 4 seconds off the lead at one point, but whilst the others struggled to get past the likes of Butticliss and Philpott, Ming was just straight past, and I think that's what won him that race.
Yeah, for sure. He showed excellent car control. He pushed the car in hard where he needed to and just took the corner away from the driver ahead. Really showed good racecraft there. and should take a commanding lead in the championship with that.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky to catch, honestly, from this point in the season, Dave. I mean, yeah, he's got to be the huge favourite, and of course, only 6 rounds in this championship as well. But I think from tonight, I guess Daniel Beauchamp, can we say that he's his main rival, or do you think it's still McCutcheon or Kuntelis?
I think any of those guys, because it's especially with this particular format, which I'm a big fan of, by the way. You know, so much can happen, and with the reversed grid, giving opportunities to people that might not know.
Putzkles, Beauchamp, what could have been for him in race 1, you know, started down in 5th position, and then also the spin he had in race 2 harmed him. Philpott was in 5th position, good debut for him. Graham Brown with the 2 amateur race wins. Then was Mike Thurman, who looked very quick as well, but yeah, just had a damaged car all night. Christian Engelhardt was in 8th position, good recovery from him. There was Haraski, Copeland, Brogington, Loader, Tolman, Edel, Sebus, Humphrey, Tressida, and Aldridge, rounding out the 18 cars. So we will have an interview with a few of our drivers now. And I think first up, I'd like to have a chat with our race winner tonight, Kike Ming, who was very selfish and took them both for himself. Congratulations, Kike. I was saying at the end there, you've had to fight so hard for every race win so far this season, but after all of it, you are 3 out of 3 so far.
Thank you, Sam. Yeah, well, 2 tough races. First of all, I want to apologize and say sorry to John. He lost the momentum, and I was quite close, and I couldn't do anything on time. So sorry about that.
That was an unfortunate incident with John. It's a shame not to see you two battling with one another tonight. That race 1 in the end was fairly simple. You just maintained the gap to the others, but race 2 was very action-packed. I got to talk to you though. What happened with the spin?
Well, I touched the curve and I spun. Luckily, I didn't did a completely spin, so I could recover the pace. The lead group were fighting each other, so they were really slow, and that made me to close the gap.
Then you had to overtake, I think 4 or 5 drivers in order to take the lead. Who was the trickiest driver out of those guys to make a move on?
To be honest, I was focused on Daniel, because on the first race I saw he was bloody fast. So my target was not to let him to lead the group, because I think he had the pace to make a gap. But then he had an incident with another car. I don't remember the name, and that made me to settle down and just follow Arturas. Then when I overtook him, he put me on pressure, but that made me to stay focused the rest of the race.
This is the first time that we've had this Red Bull Ring circuit in the Radical official series. What do you think? It's a good car track combination, or do you think it's not one of the best?
Yeah, I think it's a really good combination, because despite the fact that there are long straights, it's not that easy to overtake. So with a good pace, you can stay close to the other drivers, but if you want to overtake, you have to take risk, and that's a good circuit.
Before we let you go, Kike, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, as always, to shout out to my friends, my family, and of course yours. Thanks for broadcasting and all the stuff you are doing to make this championship to be one of the best.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Kike. Thanks for having a chat with us. And yeah, best of luck. You keep up this form next week.
Thank you. See you.
Kike Ming there, your 2-time race winner tonight and championship leader. Dave, who would you like to have a chat with?
I think we've got to have a talk with one of the fastest drivers here tonight, Daniel Beauchamp. Daniel.
Hello.
Hiya. Great performance overnight. You certainly had a bit more pace than you did in Suzuka. Is that because you prefer this circuit, or do you think it's just something just clicked tonight?
It's more just that I wasn't really happy with my performance 2 weeks ago, so I wanted to put a bit more practice in for this week. Yeah, so it was just pure practice time, really.
So that means we can expect more performances like that, and we'll be very happy. You finished 6th in round 1. You got race 1. You finished 2nd. Do you think you could have probably got Ming for the win in that one?
I think even if I got close, our pace was so close that I wouldn't have been able to pass. I think he's too consistent, and I'd of course try, but unless I try to bomb it up the inside, or maybe turn 2 or whatever, I don't think it was going to happen.
Talking about close battles, you had an incident with Brad Philpott in race 2. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, I don't really know what he was thinking. First, he blocked me coming into turn 3. Absolutely just moved his car in reaction to me trying to move to the inside. So however I do that, I'll be trying to protest that. And then he seemed to just drive into me at, I think it's turn 4 or turn 5, I don't know what it's called, but yeah, I don't really know what was going on with him, to be honest.
But then you had a brilliant recovery drive to get up to, I think it was 4th place in the end. Do you think your pace would have been enough to maybe win that race with Kike's mistake early in the race?
I think I could have won the race if I wasn't taken out. Yeah, I think with Arturus and that other guy, Bradley, they were the only guys in front of me. I think I had a very good chance then, and I was very excited at that point, so I was very crushed when Bradley decided to do his little move.
Obviously, it's quite a short championship here. We've got Road America, Spa and Imola coming up. Is there any circuit you prefer being on the calendar, or is there anything you would rather not be there?
Sorry, can you read them out again?
The next few are Road America, Spa and Imola.
I love all those tracks. There's especially Road America. I really like Road America with the Radicals, so I really look forward to that.
And what is your target for the end of the championship?
Just to do the best I can, but maybe top 5 in the championship would make me really happy.
Well, I think you're well on your way to achieving that. Is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to before we go?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to Arturus. Guy's a really nice racer. It was really fun to race him in those races, and it's always nice to be on track with him.
Okay, thank you for that, Daniel, and hopefully we'll see you back up front at the next round.
Yeah, thank you guys.
So that was Daniel Beauchamp, who managed to finish in 2nd position in race 1 and 4th position in race 2. Bill, who would you like to have a talk with? We got Arturus Kundelis, Aldous Putaklis, or Zach Edel?
Let's take Arturus in, because if I heard correctly, Daniel was just praising his driving. Did I hear that correctly, guys?
Yes, I believe you did.
Yeah. So Arturus, first congratulations. A good run for you here today, and tell us a little bit about the first race versus the second race, and how you made your way through to a superb finish.
Yeah, thank you for the congratulations. Yeah, the races were exciting in the beginning, but then they kind of, leveled out. Everyone got separated. But yeah, the first race I was just basically learning the track. I didn't really have that much practice learning the off tracks, and didn't really expect much, and kind of let Daniel and Kike go, hoping to stay in the draft and just basically being a parasite in the race, using others to climb up the positions. But yeah, not many expectations, but the result was pretty decent, so pretty happy. The second race I was much more confident following Kike, and but he's just in another league. There's one thing to follow him, another one is to attempt a pass. It's easy.
Yeah, well, Tourist, I can assure you that the commentators at this event were fairly certain that you had the pace to do it, so give yourself some credit in that respect. But talk to us a little bit about your experience on this racetrack. You said you had not much practice in this car. Have you raced this particular racetrack in the past, or is this your first experience on the Red Bull ring?
Oh no, in the past, yeah, all the way since since the early 2000s, actually, in the F1 Challenge and the first Star Factor. So I know the track, but never in the Radical, never like this, never competitively as today. So it was basically about learning the off tracks, because they're kind of invisible walls, they're difficult to spot unless you memorize the track well. And I'm not really a fan of that kind of tracks. I prefer, gravel, high curbs, something that actually punishes you. So yeah, it was about learning the obstacles that you can't see and trying to make the best of the incident points.
Yeah, so this is definitely going to help you move up in the championship. And what are your hopes for the championship? Do you think you have the ability for a top finish?
After today, yes. I wasn't racing in the first round, but this race definitely gives me a lot of confidence. And considering this is not my best of tracks, I hope for more in the future.
Yeah, well, if my list is correct, we have Road America next, followed by Spa, and then Sebring and Imola. Are any of those one of your top picks, or is there one of those that you really don't appreciate?
For some reason, I'm horrible at Sebring, so I'm just, not even expecting anything from that. But the others, they're just as good as any track, so hopefully I'll be up there, and hopefully it will be more entertaining than today was.
Well, I mean, you made it more entertaining than you seem to be putting on, my friend, because there was a lot of talk about you near the end of that second round especially. So we're looking forward to seeing you coming back for the next rounds. Congratulations again today on a really good result, and we'll look forward to seeing you at Road America.
Thanks a lot, Bill. Cheers.
Cheers.
Arcturus Candelis there with a third position in race 1, second position in race 2, second highest point scorer from tonight's action. We've got time for at least one more interview, and the next man we'll have a chat with is Aldous Poutsaklis, who joins us now. Congratulations, Aldous, because there are a couple of good results there. First up, race 1, you started in 12th position. How on earth did you get through that lap 1?
Hi guys, and thanks. I actually don't think I deserve it because I'm racing for the first time on this track, and I was off the pace in the first race, like a second, I think, but just avoiding that shenanigans in the beginning, that was awesome.
Looked like you had a really good battle with Make Thurman, it seemed like. Make seemed a bit slower down the straights, but you were able to hold him off despite the fact he seemed to be about 2 tenths behind you for the whole race.
Yeah, I think he had slight damage, that's why he couldn't do anything on the straights, and if you place the car correctly on turns, there is really no chance, I think.
And then race 2, I think you got into the lead for a bit. It was another great start, but it looked like the racing was so tight there you had a lot of competitive drivers behind.
Yeah, I had a good start, so I jumped from 5th to 1st, and I think 3-4 laps I was leading, and then I'm quite a bit upset actually about loss of the lead, because I don't think it was pretty clean that the Bradley jumped, I think it was turn 2 on the inside and pushed me out, so I had no chance to defend that one.
Overall tonight though, a 3rd and 4th position, of course very good. Next up, we head to Road America. What are your thoughts on that circuit?
I love that one. This was the one I was afraid of because I've never driven it before. And the next one, yeah, I love it. This will be brilliant, I think.
Awesome. Well, we wish you the best of luck for that one, Alders. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Give a shout to our team, Kinetic Racing, to Jake Fox, and to you guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, and we'll see you back next week.
Yeah, see you next week. Cheers.
So that was Aldous Putaklis there, your 4th place finisher in race 1 and 3rd place finisher in race 2. I forgot that Aldous started all the way back in 12th position for race 1, just showing how good his race start was and how good his pace was to make up a few more positions after that. That pretty much rounds us off then on Apex Racing TV tonight, but of course there are so many more series going on Apex Racing TV, so make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. Now you can see all the other races. We got the series finale actually of the NASCAR Championship tomorrow. I think that's a very tight pro championship for that one, so you definitely want to see that. I've also got the first round of the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship Season 4 in the brand new 992 model. That'll be great viewing in a similar format to this on Friday evening. And then I've also got the season finale in the F3 Championship. Lots of season finales, and the season finale in the GTE Championship on Sunday, so definitely catch all of them. A lot of championships to be decided, so do make sure to subscribe to the channel, click on the bell button as well so you get notified whenever we go live with a stream. Big thanks to SDK Gaming, to Apex Racing Academy, and to Virtual Racing School for sponsoring this series and sponsoring this broadcast. And of course we'll see you back this time next week at Road America for round 3 of the championship. Also make sure to check out Apex Racing TV's social media channels as well on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Dave Whitehouse, from Bill White, and from Marco Barbonet, we are going to say goodbye, and we will see you back in 1 week's time.